Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Masters Fantasy Show, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. As always, joined by the Masters crew and two of the best in the business, Dynasty Al, the Doc. What's up, guys?
How we doing?
What's up?
Not much, man. As always, a beautiful day to be alive. This is kind of like a continuation of the last episodes we did. We were going round by round, giving you guys our least favorite picks of every round. This episode is going to be the undrafted, the unwanted, guys that weren't drafted. And I know this every year, man, there's going to be, maybe not league winners, but guys that you can count on week after week, guys that are going to be great bye-week fillers, guys that are going to help you win the championship. They're out here for sure. We're going to take a look at them, see if we can find some guys to maybe help you win your fantasy championship. With that said, let's jump right into it. Going to start at the quarterback position of the undrafted guys from last night. I know this pains all of us here. Top guy on the list, man, Baker Mayfield. Speak about Baker and maybe anybody else stick out to you on this list that should be rostered.
I don't want to rattle off a ton, but I will say Jared Goff is as disgusting as the Lions roster is. It's disgusting for a reason. They're going to stink. They're going to get blown out, and he's going to be throwing the ball probably like 50 times a game. So, again, not the most pretty, but I feel like he's definitely worth a roster spot. And there's a couple more. I don't want to say all of them.
Yeah.
Al, you can jump in because I feel like we're going to say some of these.
So, Zach Wilson's a guy who, I know he's a rookie, but it seems like he's for sure going to be a day one starter. On top of that, his weapons are better than you'd think. Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, Elijah Moore, they're not awful. It's not great, but, for the number 2 overall pick of the draft who's expected to start day one, to go undrafted, I would take a flyer on him.
Yeah. There's a few names that are really sticking out to me.
I feel like you want to say Jameis, so I'd let you.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I actually didn't want to say Jameis. I wanted to say, I think this is the first time in 20 years maybe that a Saints quarterback isn't being drafted in a redraft league. Right. Just kind of odd.
I think it's weird, too, because Jameis, I feel like, has been going 11th round in a lot of these drafts we see, and he's a very wide range here.
Yeah, I think add the Michael Thomas news in.
Yeah, that probably doesn't help.
I think that's really hurt Jameis Winston quite a bit. One guy that sticks out to me, and he's a guy that I have been losing some of my love for, is going to be Sam Darnold, man. I get it, man. Not the sexiest pick in the world. I still really like the 100 easy passes to Christian McCaffrey. I think that's going to give him a chance to be a viable starter, a viable number 2 at the least this season.
Yep, he was on my list there, too.
Yeah. I got another one, too, and again, it's not a sexy one.
Don't you do it.
But Derek Carr.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
I would never say that.
Me neither.
I feel like Derek Carr, could have a career year for himself, not crazy good, but just could have the best year of his career so far. He's got Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs coming into year 2. Darren Waller, huge threat at tight end. John Brown. They add in Kenyon Drake. The weapons are kind of there, and I think last year was the best year his passer rating has ever been. So I look for him just to build on that efficiency, the weapons to take a step forward, and I still expect them to be trailing a lot of games because that Las Vegas defense is nothing to brag about. So I don't hate Derek Carr as much as I have.
I lump him in with Goff actually for very similar reasons.
Yeah, I actually like Carson Wentz too a little bit. With the injury news, it's a little shaky, but if he's going to be back, week 1, week 2, he's a guy that I definitely think he's worth being a roster.
I think it's 5 to 12 weeks, which is that's a very wide range. He could be
ready.
I
always feel like it gets closer to the 12 months when those ranges. Yeah, hopefully not.
Or it's one of those situations where he comes back in 5 and then re-injures it.
Right.
The guy that really sticks out to me, I'm surprised you guys didn't say, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I was looking
Fitzmagic, baby.
Fitzmagic, yeah.
He's got great weapons. McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Diami Brown. Logan Thomas, who's getting drafted in the 6th round. Antonio Gibson's got some receiving chops, as does J.D. McKissick. He's got weapons, and we know Fitzmagic will produce. He loves to sling it around, so I'm loving that. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get picked either.
Yeah, he sure does. There'll probably be some weeks where Fitzmagic may finish at 1.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows?
He's very
possible.
Yeah.
And definitely be a guy you can use in daily here and there. I think Fitzmagic, man, he's won me a couple dollars here and there, man. All right, going to switch over to the undrafted at the running back position. A little tougher, not as many big names here. But I promise you, man, there's some guys on here that will be rostered, will be used this season. Go back to last year if you need, man. James Robinson was sitting there at this time.
Yeah.
Plenty of other guys, just to give you an example. I'll pass this over to you. I know it's hard, guys. Take a look over this list. Tell me who you think at the running back position should be rostered. Redraft football. Floor's all yours. And just so you know, I sorted these by own percentage.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Like in the other leagues, to give you an idea. But go ahead. Floor's all yours.
I'll go. For me, it's Tevin Coleman. I love Michael Carter, and I think he'll end up being, the guy that gets, he dominates the carries and touches overall. But I do think, at least to start, too, Tevin Coleman will be a guy that can do a lot on an improved New York Jets offense. So, I like that a lot. I feel like he's at least worth a roster spot for now until Michael Carter really shows that he's capable of handling all those carries, which I don't even think is going to happen this year. So.
Yeah, I agree. Tevin Coleman was the first name that jumped out to me, and really the one I feel strongest about as well. I'm going to go down the list again, not a guy I feel great about, but I think he could have a small role even if an injury does happen. But if Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes down, I kind of like my boy Jerick McKinnon, just great pass-catching running back, obviously. That's a pass-centric offense, so I don't think Jerick McKinnon's dead quite yet. He actually had a quiet, somewhat decent year last year in San Fran, but obviously a lot of injury problems, has hardly been able to stay healthy, but good pass-catching back when healthy.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, and nobody really sticking out to me a ton. I do like Phillip Lindsay at the top of the list as a possible sleeper to get a bunch of carries down in Houston. I'm not really sold on, David Johnson, Mark Ingram. I think there's a role for him down there.
Right.
One other guy, and I don't necessarily know he should be rostered, but if I was a Derrick Henry owner this year, I'd probably be looking at Darrington Evans. I think I've said this on an episode in the past. We were going through all the backups, for some of these stud running backs in the leagues. The Alexander Madisons, the Tony Pollards, the Latavius Murrays, last year Mike Davis. All of these top running backs, we all know their backups.
Right.
We've all used their backups. Hell, we've all been beaten by their backups.
Oh, yeah.
In years past. Darrington Evans is probably going to, and I don't want to wish an injury. I don't know for sure. It just seems like I wouldn't be surprised at all if Derrick Henry missed some time this year. You're paying that much to get him. I'd handcuff him this year.
Absolutely.
Right.
And obviously Derrick Henry is still, without a doubt, a huge workhorse back. But it does sound like they're trying to get Darrington Evans more involved, even some lining up in the slot. So it's clear they're just trying to get him some touches. So, even if they want to just take off some of Derrick Henry's load or if an injury does happen, I think, he has a real shot at having a couple weeks where he could put up decent numbers.
All right, and then something I like that offense too for him too. It's something you'll see on the football field quite a bit. Like Derrick Henry goes out, Evans, Darrington Evans comes in. I feel like defenses relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Start looking at Julio and AJ Brown. All of a sudden, run a little draw play. Darrington Evans shocks everybody. 30-yard run. I just wouldn't be surprised to see the guy become a little more fantasy relevant this year.
Yeah,
he's a guy I'm actually looking at on waiver wires and Dynasty too. When guys make their cuts this year, Darrington Evans is a guy that I want to pick up in Dynasty leagues.
That's one of my favorite parts of the year is right after everyone cleans out the roster, you get down to 20, you see who got drafted, and then you scoop them up the next week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple rosters in some of my leagues. I'm kind of licking my chops.
Because people load up on those draft picks, and it's like you can't roster all these guys.
He just drafted 8 people. You were already pretty strong, 1 to 20. So
I love looking at that.
Who's coming?
Somebody's got to get cut.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to the wide receiver position here. Like I said, this is the unwanted, the undrafted, and redraft at the wide receiver position. Guarantee there's going to be some guys that are very useful here. Pass it on to you. Anybody stick out to you that you want on your roster?
You want to just say it?
I got to say, what I'm going to say?
Christian Kirk.
Oh, no.
It's got to be. That's your guy.
So I love Christian Kirk. But one of my other guys who I've talked about as a deep sleeper on the show, where is he?
It's got to be Denzel Mims.
Brian Edwards.
Edwards,
John Gruden. Did you guys hear John Gruden? Now that you can take anything John Gruden says for a fact, but he said Brian Edwards reminds him a lot of T.O. Looks like T.O. out there making plays in training camp. So
wow,
Brian Edwards, baby. I think the T.O. comparisons are a little crazy, but But I like Bryan Edwards. I think he'll outproduce Henry Ruggs.
That's great.
Be the
coach
number
speak.
2 option behind Darren Waller in that passage.
Wait, I mean, he reminded him as T.O. as a receiver, or he was doing like sit-ups in his driveway?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, wait,
yeah.
I'm confused here. I don't
I
really
kind of
see
want
it.
to see if I can pull this up.
I like Brashad Perriman. I feel like he has value just with how barren it is in Detroit. He very well could end up being the most viable option there. There was someone else I saw that I forget now.
And while you look at it, I'll toss.
Aguilar.
Go ahead. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Aguilar. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Aguilar too.
We've talked about
Yeah,
him too, but I
we
feel like
saw,
he's going to be sneaky good again, and he's worth a roster spot.
Yeah, and he's one of my favorite like best ball pickups too.
Yeah,
Aguilar. I mean, he's a guy you can literally get pretty much any time during the draft, as you can see here. Not even drafted. I've been picking him up the 16th round, quite a bit. Just, I mean he's a 1 right now.
Yeah, they paid him pretty good money.
And one guy I'll toss out there, Josh Reynolds, still the 3 in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean he's a guy that I really liked prior to the Julio signing as a 2. And you know, and as soon as the signing happened, I'd kind of faded him a little bit. But I do think, man, he does have some sneaky upside on that offense. So much attention is going to be paid to Julio, you know, and A.J. Brown. I think this guy's just going to, I mean, basically run routes by himself.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he has some useful games. I don't know if I'd want to roster him, though. But I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the season we do see him on a roster.
Right. I am a little surprised to see T.Y. Hilton there.
Yeah.
I know he's kind of towards the end, and I mean, just them adding Wentz and everything. I mean, he's still kind of like number 1 on the depth chart, you know?
Yeah, and
I mean, I know they have Pittman and guys like Paris Campbell who could pop off this year, but still, he's still the guy when he's healthy. He's still their number 1. He showed that a little bit last year. He's still got some left in the tank.
Yeah, and seeing him here on the undrafted, I'm just going to throw up my TY one last time. Wow. I mean, this might be the last time I ever get to do it.
Yeah.
Like, that seems where we're trending towards here. But you know what? I'd actually love to see TY get healthy and have at least 1 or 2 good seasons.
It'd be sweet.
Yeah, I think so, too. And another guy I'll add, too, Alan Lazard, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it's
like
a
him a
sneaky
lot.
play now that Rodgers is going to be there. I think he's fighting for some time at the number 2 wide receiver. Cobb
it's gonna be
kind of creates a little bit of mess there in targets.
Yeah, because
But
Cobb's going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, Alan Lazard, explosive, man. I mean, I see some
I
plays
like
where
him,
I was
man.
really impressed by
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, Adams, I mean, is going to get all the coverage. So
Yeah, he's probably just going to split with MVS and just kind of do completely different things. But yeah, Lazard was awesome last year. And it stinks that Cobb kind of took a big chunk of his workload because I do think he's really good.
I think Sammy Watkins, too, could be a sleeper, man. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of
Yeah.
reports on Sammy. I know.
Say he looks really good.
Yeah,
You know, they just brought in Bateman. I mean, still probably, I mean, the most experienced of the bunch.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hollywood with some injuries again. I mean, who knows, man? I mean, Sammy could slide in as the 1 there.
Yeah. I like that too. Yeah.
And I don't think he'll be like a top 10 receiver, but I think he could be like an every week starter if those two click.
Yeah.
You know, like
At the very least, a guy you can like plug and play if you're hurt and need to start somebody.
I'm thinking even
bye
as
weeks
like
for injuries.
a pretty decent 3rd wide receiver on your team.
Like a
something
guy
like
you
that.
can consider for your flex every week.
Right, with upside though. Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah.
I mean, we all know the guy's
Absolutely.
talented and
Yeah, I mean, if he can stay healthy too, I mean,
Right.
anything's possible for him.
all right, guys, and now we're going to move over here to the land of the really unwanted at the tight end position. Man, what a tough position to fill this year if you're not getting a guy in the top 5 or 6. And even if you are the last couple of those 5 and 6, you don't feel that great about. With that said, though, man, the tight end position, I feel like all of us are going to be making a ton of waiver moves, trying to pick up tight ends and, you know, try to fill in points that we're missing. Pass this to you guys. Anybody here at the tight end position you think's worth picking up right now in a redraft league?
I mean, I'll talk about my guy Brevin Jordan for one. I think by the end of the season, he will end up being the number 1 tight end in Houston. Now, I can't say that's going to be a ton of fantasy points, but a number 1 tight end not going going undrafted. I mean, I feel like I'd take a flyer on him. Great athlete, and there's going to be plenty of targets to get because there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah, I'm going to go similar with rookie tight ends. Go Pat Freiermuth out in Pittsburgh. Obviously, Eric Ebron's there, but that starting job up for grabs. And I know they got a lot of weapons at receiver, but, I think, they took him in the second round. I think Big Ben's gonna, kind of look for those shorter passes, like we talked about. All the reasons we love Najee Harris. I think Freiermuth can benefit from that as well. So yeah, I'd take a flyer on him.
Do you think he outscores Ebron?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't, but I did
I don't
just
either,
see. I
but
did just recently
maybe.
see a report though, like, looks like Freiermuth in camp. I mean, awfully involved. Looks like they do plan on using him.
I think they should use him a lot. I didn't really expect them to, but they could.
I think so too. I mean, one guy that I might be willing to take a flyer in a redraft league would be Gerald Everett for me.
That's who I was looking at.
That Seattle offense. I mean, just a guy that, and I've seen him get drafted quite a bit every night. He's a guy I'd probably want on my roster as my number 2 tight end.
Yeah.
And maybe even draft 3 of them if you need to, and see which one of these guys kind of pops off this season.
Right.
Because I do think as much as, I mean, it's a crappy position right now. I personally think there's going to be some guys surprising people this year at the tight end position. So for me, I've been grabbing like 3 guys late in drafts and hoping one of these guys kind of takes a step forward this year and kind of gets past that like 140 point mark.
Yeah.
Well, there seems to be like 12 guys
Right.
all grouped in right there.
I could see Hurst having a good season.
I was
going
to say, I think there's going to be
all
two,
the attention is
two
going to be
tight
on Pitts.
ends,
They're
two
going
tight
to do
ends
a
on
lot
the
of
field
two,
a lot,
yeah.
especially with Julio gone. We talked about Russell Gage and Alameda Zacharias, or however you pronounce it. I think Hayden Hurst is actually going to be, one of the most going to benefit the most out of any of those guys.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like he's going to get a lot more than a guy like Russell Gage. I feel like that's where Hayden Hurst kind of was hurting last year points-wise, is he wasn't getting the targets. Well, a ton of them just opened up. So obviously Pitts is going to get a lot, but Hurst still being on the field, being talked about a lot, has me feeling good about him.
Yeah, got me ready to go home and put some waiver moves in, man. On this one league, it's like that's a 25-man roster plus 5 taxi spots. Hurst is a free agent right now. I saw it yesterday, and I was like,
I know why he would be, because it was gross last year as an owner of Hurst in a few leagues. But
so can I finish us out with my John Gruden quote?
Sure can.
Got some cell phone reception.
Hold on.
For a second.
Any last words?
Oh yeah, I got some last words here.
Brian Edwards is T.O.
Direct quote from John Gruden less than a week ago. He says, "Edwards has great ability. He's got great ability. I'm excited about him. You see, he looks like T.O.
It does.
You see, he looks like T.O. He looks like one of the number 1 wideouts in the league." End quotes. John Gruden, Brian Edwards. Mark it down.
Yeah, well, I know you've been making some trades for Edwards too. Yeah, there you go,
for
man.
Third rounders,
Hey, good news for you, Edwards owner. And hey, man, if you believe John Gruden, go out and get him right now.
I'll probably go out and try and trade him now. If anyone else is reading that quote.
And that was like the most John Gruden.
Oh yeah, man! I tell you what, man, that guy's good.
Great ability.
I tell you what, great ability.
All right, guys, thanks for watching.